Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes a todos, and welcome to the 36th teleconference of the WMO Coordination Group on Satellite Data Requirements for Regional Associations 3 and 4. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Diego Souza from NPA, Brazil, collaborating as the focal point on satellite data requirements for Regional Association 3. And we also have with us our colleague Marcial Garbanzo from the University of Costa Rica, which is the co-chair of the expert team on satellite data requirements for Regional Association 4. Welcome, Marcial. Buenas tardes. Bienvenido.
Muchísimas gracias, Diego. Thank you, Diego, for the introduction. Today we have several topics in the agenda for this meeting. I'm pretty sure we all are interested in what's coming, so we should skip all introductions and just jump into the matters. So thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you, Marcial. This is our 36th teleconference. And while there's a lot happening behind the scenes, our last call was back in 2024. So today is a great opportunity to update the user community on the latest advancements from satellite operators and missions, WMO activities, as well as satellite data access and user requirements. And if you missed any of the previous teleconferences, all the content from the past 35 calls and 5 in-person meetings is available on the SDR Group's webpage. And you can find all the recordings, minutes, and presentations from our community on the group's web pages. And speaking of our web page, if you're new to the group, you'll find a lot of useful information there, including our terms of reference, list of members, details on data access mechanisms, actions, recommendations, supporting documents, as well as information on task forces and workshops organized by our group. And over the past few months, the interaction within our community has grown a lot on social networks like WhatsApp and Signal. We have discussions about just everything from AI to VLab, training activities, satellite data access, processing, and much more. So if you like to join these regional groups, please send us a message. This is a very effective way to communicate and solve problems.
Just to comment on the previous one, Diego, is that some of those groups
Marcelo,
have
go ahead.
Yeah, some of those groups like the Comunidad de Observaciones has got over 125 people, I think now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people from the region. Yeah.
Very active. Thank you, Marcial. And just a quick comment before we move on to the agenda. Just a quick update on satellite data requirements within our regional structure, as there have been some recent updates approved by the RAs. In Regional Association 3, the infrastructure committee is made up of expert teams and focal points, including a focal point for satellite data requirements, which is myself. And in Regional Association 4, we've moved from having a focal point to establishing an expert team on SDR, which had a first call this past August. And this expert team is co-chaired by Marcial and Oriana from NOAA. So this is the current status of SDR within the structure approved by the regional associations. And as the regional expert team and the regional focal point on SDR, we report our activities to our respective infrastructure committees and work according to our regional terms of reference and collaborate, gathering the community from both regions through these main ad hoc coordination group on satellite data requirements for RA-III and RA-IV. Okay, so if there are any updates in the future in terms of structure, we will keep you informed. And here's the agenda for our meeting today. We've divided it into some categories related to our terms of reference, including updates from satellite operators and WMO, satellite data exchange, research to operations covering new satellite products, feedback from the satellite user community, and updates from the SDR focal point and the expert team. We'll start with a couple of updates. First, our colleagues from NOAA will update the community on current and future missions. Then we will hear updates from the WMO Regional Office for the Americas. Next, we will move on to satellite data exchange and learn more about WES 2.0. And after that, we will learn details on an experimental product from CIRA called the Satellite Cloud Vertical Cross-Section Product. and contributing to our ongoing series of community updates during teleconferences. Our colleagues from the Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology of Panama will present how satellite data is used in their organization, including challenges, requirements, findings, and future plans. And finally, we will wrap up the call by discussing the preliminary results of the Early Warnings for All survey. So there's a lot to cover today. We have more than 40 participants. We will not introduce everyone as we usually do, and we will move on to our first presentation, the updates from NOAA. Your questions are very welcome and important. If you would like to comment, but don't feel comfortable asking in English, please feel free to ask in Spanish, and we will do our best to translate. Vamos a la presentación de NOAA y vuestras preguntas y comentarios son muy bienvenidos y muy importantes, y pueden hacer vuestras preguntas y comentarios en español y vamos a intentar traducir. Okay, you may use the chat window to submit your questions. Pueden usar la ventana de chat para hacer vuestras preguntas. So let's invite our colleague, Oriana Villar from NOAA, and also one of the co-chairs of the expert team on SDR for RA-IV. Hello, Oriana, hola, welcome, and thank you very much for coordinating this update from NOAA with your team. You may go ahead and share your screen. Let me stop sharing.
Oh. Hello, everybody. My name is Oriana Villar. I am with NOAA NESDIS, and I work for the Office of International and Interagency Affairs. I'm the team lead for the Western Hemisphere. I'm going to kick off the presentation and then hand off to a few colleagues to jump into certain updates. So thank you, Diego, and thank you, Marcial. Muchas gracias. And just confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, you can.
We can see it. Yeah.
Perfect. Then let me see if I can see it. Okay, well, with that, I'm jumping right in. This is going to be the outline of what we're going to present. We're going to go into a little bit on GOES and GOES 19, GeoXO updates, and then some LEO updates as well. So with that, I'm actually going to hand it over to Andy Lato, who's our GeoXO user engagement lead. So Andy, over to you.
Thanks, Oriana. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're happy to answer questions. If you can put them in the chat, and what's going to happen with our presentation, Oriana will provide them with me after the presentation, and we can follow up with you after this meeting and make sure you get the right information in your hands. So that being said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and the GOES U-19. So that rocket launched back on June 25th, 2024. The new instrumentation on that was a new compact coronagraph, which was a NOAA space weather follow-on program instrument. That satellite reached orbit and was renamed GOES 19 on July 7th of 2024. And after some testing and calibration, it became operational as a new GOES East this year, April 7th of 2025. Next slide. So coming up on October 16th of this year is actually the 50th anniversary of GOES. Believe it or not, there's a website there if you're interested in learning more about the history of our program. Next slide. So moving on to the next constellation, GeoXO. So we've been going through a lot of changes recently, and the changes are still ongoing. We've been doing a rebaselining of the program that's still in progress, and the prioritizing of it is going to be advanced weather forecasting. So it's going to be more of a weather-focused mission. The first launch of the satellites remains in 2032. Just an example of some of the capabilities here. You see the visible near-infrared imagery on the left, in the middle, the lightning mapping capabilities. And what'll be new on these would be the infrared sounding. Go ahead and go to the next slide. All right. So there's a lot of information on this slide. So the baseline restructuring that's been going on and is ongoing. What you don't see is a middle satellite anymore. It's in the east, similar to the setup we have now. However, you notice on the left, the west one will be the visible infrared imager and a lightning mapper. And on the east would be the visible infrared imager and a hyperspectral infrared sounder. So the order of launches would be GEO-1 would be the west in 2032. It actually would fly the Advanced Baseline Imager 5, and go to Lightning Mapper 5. So notice that's not the GeoX instrumentation. That's instrumentation that has been already underway. Geo 2, which is on the east, and Geo 4 in 2043, 2034, and 2043 will fly the GeoXO imager and the GeoXO sounder. Geo 3 2039 would be on the west. It will fly the GeoXO imager, and if there's enough money in the budget, the GeoXO Lightning Mapper LMX. And, so the ABI 5 is a little bit more information, and the GLM that we have on there for the first launch would be built from spare parts that already exist. That's again, and the first lander launch moves up to 2034. Now, the good news about all of this, although you don't see ACX and OCX on there, by having the sounder on the east, it will now cover most of South America. Where before the setup for it to be at a different location, you would have not had that kind of coverage. So you'll get more benefits from the sounder based on this new configuration. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is kind of a high-level slide on this next screen, showing the weather mission. Well, we all know what the weather hazards are, so I won't use too much of your time on it. Showing the different capabilities that the GeoXO has. The imager, again, that'll be upcoming, is going to be the primary instrument providing the high resolution, the visible, the infrared imagery. That's important for the short-term forecasting. And it's going to have 18 channels. 2 of them is going to be new channels, and they'll have a chart showing up next. In sharper resolution for the 7 other channels. New information about water vapor in the atmosphere is going to be one of them, detecting and tracking atmospheric rivers and improving the short-term thunderstorm forecasts. And the detection of fire is 4 times smaller than the current capability. So the higher resolution is going to help out there. One thing I didn't mention in that last slide, that we have Monica Coakley speaking here soon about data. Data is going to be accessible in the cloud. And she's going to touch base more on that here shortly. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So the new channels. So most of these you're already familiar with. The ones in yellow are the new ones that GXI will have. That's going to be the ones that are capable of tracking the atmospheric absorption by gases and scattering, and absorption by clouds and aerosols. The higher resolution, why is that needed? The satellites are 22,000 miles away, so we need to get down to the size of the clouds. The new channels was based on some of the Weather Services needs. They need more water vapor information for detecting and tracking atmospheric rivers, and also for improving the short-term thunderstorm forecasts. Go ahead and go to the next slide. The sounder, again, this is the one that is going to have a new expanded role in South America. I don't have a map to show you exactly what it looks like yet. Hopefully, when we do our next update, we'll have new maps as we're changing configurations and whatnot. But the sounder is going to improve the accuracy for every industry, entity, and individual that uses weather forecasts. And that's going to happen by the improved numerical weather prediction. So the sounder is going to provide the largest 24-hour forecast error reduction for the U.S. among all LEO and GEO instruments, which includes improving regional forecasting up to 40%. So the improved severe weather forecast is going to provide the real-time atmospheric conditions for nowcasting and localized forecasts by getting that profile of the atmosphere. It's going to have more accurate hurricane predictions. Some of the experiments using the China's GEO sounder showed up to a 43% improvement in hurricane track forecasts, 18% in intensity forecasts, and at 72 hours out in time. Improved fire behavior and smoke transport forecasts, improved wind forecasts, and the ability to characterize nighttime dust storms. That's to list a few. So a lot of benefits to this, and so hopefully the expansion of that area over the South America area would be beneficial for that as well. Go ahead to the next slide. The Lightning Mapper, the GeoXO Lightning Mappers will be capable of detecting, locating, and measuring the intensity, duration, and extent of lightning flashes by continuing the critical observations provided by the GOES-R GLM with some improvements. Now keep in mind, the future of LMX is uncertain. It's going to be based on budget. The first GeoXO satellite will fly the GLM-5. So LMX may fly it on the 3rd GeoXO satellite if the budget allows. And if it does, the approved resolution, expanded geographical coverage to include Alaska, analysis of severe storms, hurricane intensity prediction, precip estimates, early detection of lightning, data where other sources are limited, especially over the oceans and in mountainous and rural areas, and detection of bright meteors entering Earth's atmosphere also for national defense purposes. Okay, go ahead into the next slide. That wraps up the as far as like the new things about the GeoXO program. For user engagement wise, what we've been doing a lot recently, some of you probably have attended these thematic symposiums, and we're going to continue to do those the next year or two at least, to try to get people more informed of what the program's up to and to get feedback, and also for folks to learn about other potential satellite applications of the data that we have now and what's going to be available in the future. Of course, we were going to be evolving as things go on closer to launch, user readiness activities going to fiscal year 27 to 29, and developing some infrastructure readiness activities, and then eventually training activities. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So what I'd like to hear, and feel free to put this in the chat, and I'll get that from Oriana later on, is what international focused GeoXO user engagement do you need from us in the next year or so? What we did back last December, I enjoyed doing when we did a WMO coordinated update. Of course, that's happening now via this presentation, but I was entertaining the idea of like maybe doing a weather-focused symposium where we invite WMO folks and have one day where it's all translated. That's just one idea, but if you have any needs as far as user engagement, please feel free to pass that information along to Oriana, so I can adapt to what your needs are. So what we have on that list coming up is possibly another Weather Part 2 symposium in early December, because we had a lot of positive feedback about hearing about those external stakeholders like the cruise line industries and Delta Airlines. Fire is going to be a big symposium that's going to be likely in February 2026. We scaled back the effort last year as all these administrative changes happened, and we're going to hold the event now in February, inviting everybody to join. So next slide. I think that's it for me. There's a QR code on this next slide that will provide you with a way to get to the GeoXO activity, the event webpage. So, and also my email address is there, andrew.latto@noaa.gov. Feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions and comments. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Oriana. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I take that back. So I'm going to speak these slides for Sherry. So NESDIS training. So each year, AMS SatMock has been hosting a short course. This year, they held one for the theme of satellites and fire. That was in June 2025. And for those particular events, it's a GEO-LEO collaboration with university partners. They averaged over 100 participants in each session, and more than 80 people attended at least 3 of those 4 sessions. Anyone can join either forum to continue communication and collaboration of some of these links you have in there. You also have, they were 4 4-hour seminars, including satellite data products, models to monitor the stages of wildland fires and the vegetation conditions. Participants from over 20 countries. They have recordings on the CIRA website linked here. Some participants joined the WhatsApp Spanish-speaking training forum through this. And there's a thematic working group for fire, smoke, and air quality that's open to everybody. Okay, next slide. The NOAA SatHack. So registration is currently closed for this October's, but the satellite hackathon will provide training sessions ahead of the competition. Registration's closed. People were able to add their name to the wait list, though, in case a spot opens up. The GEO-LEO SWO virtual training and competition events for undergraduate and graduate students to develop a creative public awareness campaign focused on communicating the Earth and space science behind NOAA satellite data. So it's a very wide range of folks attending. There's 70 undergraduate and graduate master's PhD students from more than 35 universities, from a variety of countries, including but not limited to Brazil, Bolivia, Mexico, Trinidad, US, and Vietnam. Majors range from anywhere from aerospace engineering, geography, geophysics, computational biology, to marine science, and beyond. Now I'm going to hand it back off to you, Oriana.
Actually, I think you're handing it over to Monica.
Monica, okay.
Thanks so much, Andy. So I'll fill you in a little bit more on Level 1B data distribution. The Radiance data or the Level 1B data will be made available to the NESDIS Common Cloud Facility, or NCCF. And then from there, all Level 1B users beyond the NCCF will access their data from the NCCF. So that's different for GeoXO. So like the Advanced Baseline Imager that you're familiar with on GOES-R, the GeoXO Imager or GXI Level 1B data and the GXS Level 1B data volumes, they're very large. As you heard about from Andy, GXI has finer spatial resolution than ABI in multiple bands, and again, 2 new bands. So all that additional data may impact some users. GXI Level 1B data is about 3.6 times larger than ABI, so those fine resolution bands really drive that data. Note that the higher level products often employ multiple band combinations at coarser spatial resolution, so those high level products aren't as much of a driver as the Level 1B data. That's the biggest data that we have to move around. Moving to the next slide, please. So this is our view of how we envision things are going to flow through the system. So everything in the dotted yellow is the GeoXO system, and that, as I said before, that Level 1B data goes into the big cloud, the NESDIS Common Cloud Facility, and the Level 0 and Level 1B data get delivered to that Common Cloud Facility, which is currently under the NESDIS Office of Common Services. So the NCCF will make that data available to users, as I was just mentioning, but there's multiple paths by which that data will be available. The primary path is expected to be the internet, whether it's satellite or terrestrial internet, as shown at the top middle of the image there, or even cellular networks as an alternate path. But we envision that, the access is through the NCCF. Additionally, there'll be commercial satellite broadcasts as an alternative under the Office of Satellite and Product Operation, or OSPO, via commercial services. So for commercial services, there'll be a high rate data and a medium low rate data service. So high rate, low rate. And for the high rate data service, we would expect about 50 megabits per second, because it's generally consistent with the size of those services today. And the medium low rate would be about 1 megabit per second. And that would include, things like higher level products, warnings, and data collection service data. So ultimately, in terms of the high rate content, that's more like a GOES rebroadcast replacement, if you're familiar with that service. But users will have to weigh in on the options for how do you assemble the data content into the 50 megabits per second, because as I mentioned, the data is bigger than that. We're exploring various options, including, maybe reducing the spatial resolution of GXI slightly, binning up LMX in some way, and also using principal components for GXS. But that will be resolved by discussions with users and Dan Lindsay. So on to the next page, please. So just to give you a sense of it, if you're not familiar with it, the GeoNetcast is a good example of a commercial rebroadcast service. We've done some market research looking at, the kinds of data that could be transmitted and the kind of coverage and that might result from such services. So one example of that is the GeoNetcast, and they're showing C-band coverage for a given price point. And they've got size of the antenna shown in the image in the lower left, and so it varies with your physical location. But they have a good understanding of it from this particular company that was offering it, and again from the GeoNetcast system that already exists. So again, C-band a little bit different, but level 2+ products we envision could be included in that as well. Go on to the next slide, please. And so just to kind of, put a perspective on it, like we said, the GOES-R rebroadcast of the GRB is going to, in its primary path, you're getting it from NCCF, but if you look for a broadcast, that would be out in a high rate service, and users would need to replace their existing L-band receivers with with selected commercial frequencies. And ultimately, the cost of doing that replacement is borne by the users. The services are free of charge in terms of the distribution aspects. And ultimately, this is kind of the backup path. In terms of HRIT MWIN, very much the same story. That's the, oops, sorry. Could you go back a page? In terms of the medium low rate service, again, cost is borne by the users in terms of anything they might need to replace on the ground in terms of antenna. DCS, we envision there's no changes there. The DCS rebroadcast, again, the spectrum changed as the frequencies may move around a little bit. And in terms of the two-way commercial commanding DCPC, we don't expect to change there because they'll continue at the same frequencies. So I think those are the end of my slides. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. And now over to Henry, who's going to provide an update on LEO.
Thank you, Oriana, y mucho gusto. Gracias a todos por esta oportunidad. I will speak now about the low Earth orbiting satellites for NOAA, the LEO program, the JPSS satellites. JPSS-4 is on track to launch in late 2027. It is finishing up the environmental testing. And we'll start the pre-launch preparations. JPSS-3 just a week ago completed a successful pre-storage review. JPSS-3 will be placed in storage later in the year, early next year, for launch in 2032. Quick sounder, and I'm assuming a lot of the audience is familiar with that, but it is a demonstration mission that will be launching an ATMS microwave sounding instrument into the 1730 orbit, recognizing that the POSE satellites have just been decommissioned, and that there is a data gap right now for microwave sounding and microwave imagery in that orbit. There are some different approaches to fill that orbit. The WSFM microwave imagery data should be coming online in the next month or so and be available. And then Quick Sounder will help as a demonstration fill some of that microwave sounding need. So that is scheduled to launch in 2026. We're working with the launch provider on the exact date, so we'll leave that a little bit ambiguous for the time being. Neon Series 1, the Neon is the follow-on. It'll supplement and follow on JPSS. There is a request for proposal for the microwave sounder that will be going out, is scheduled to go out at the end of the year, recognizing that there are different things that could impede the schedule. We're on track for that right now, but just want to acknowledge that sometimes things slip because of factors outside of our control. And the notional launch date for the first Series 1 satellite right now, and again, just a very quick overview, the Series 1 will be using, it will be next generation microwave sounding, infrared sounding imagery, and that is scheduled right now, the first microwave sounding launch to be in 2032. The POSE satellites, as I touched on briefly, were decommissioned in August. So just flagging that for the group, although I'm sure everyone here is aware. Next slide. Just wanted to give everyone a quick overview of NEON, as I was touching on there. NEON is the Near Earth Orbit Network. So it is going to supplement and eventually replace the JPSS measurements. The primary objective and the primary requirements for NEON are to provide continuity with the JPSS measurements to ensure that we don't have any gaps in our numerical weather prediction data and our global temperature and moisture profiles, and our EOIR, our visible imagery and infrared imagery for various environmental phenomenon globally. The first mission for NEON is the Quick Sounder mission. It's a Pathfinder demonstration mission using an ATMS sounding instrument. That is supposed to be a 3-year mission, and it's going to help us demonstrate that we can. Part of the goal with NEON is to use smaller spacecraft and disaggregate and break apart. The JPSS has all instruments on one platform. We're going to disaggregate that and put one instrument per platform. And NEON and Quick Sounder is testing that, both how well the industry can do it for us, how well our users can use it, and what that business model looks like for us. Following Quick Sounder and using lessons learned from Quick Sounder, we're already starting to develop and ramp up Series 1, with the first instrument being the sounder for microwave-based applications. SIMBA will serve as the backbone microwave sounder for the NEON program. In order to maintain continuity with the JPSS measurements, we recognize there may be some environmental degradation because of radio frequency interference, and so we are trying to design SIMBA with the capabilities to mitigate that to the best of our ability. So just want to recognize that for this group. Next slide. So again, just going into a little more detail on the NEON program. We're trying to leverage, there's been a lot of innovation since the JPSS instruments were developed in the early 2000s and late 1990s. So we want to take advantage of new technology, both in terms of spacecraft and instrument production and in terms of spacecraft and instrument capabilities. The primary goal is continuity. With the measurements already being produced in LEO, we want to take advantage of partnerships, commercial industry, and some of the industry developed approaches that may help streamline some of the work that we're trying to do. So there is some greater risk there than we have been willing to accept in the past, and we want to acknowledge that up front. The focus is on exploiting commercial investment and expertise, gaining experience with the new instruments and the new technology, and like the number one development for that, the first instrument will be the microwave sounders, critical backbone instruments for numerical weather prediction. And then also, especially for this group, want to acknowledge that we also want to continue to maintain the key partnerships that support JPSS, and those will carry through the NEON program. Next slide. So this is just a graphic to help illustrate what we're talking about. As we noted, JPSS, part of the reason it helps to disaggregate in this case is if there's a failure on orbit with one of the JPSS instruments, that failure becomes catastrophic. You may lose all 4 or 5 of the instruments on that specific spacecraft. And it would take a long time to replace and replenish those measurements. So in the NEON context, we want to build a higher number of smaller satellites so that we can replace those assets more quickly. And if there is a need to put one in different locations, that we'll have a lot more flexibility and agility. And through that flexibility and agility, we should have more resiliency. So there's some broader architectural goals and architectural philosophy that's changed since JPSS was developed. And finally, I think you all are probably all aware of this, but the JPSS data right now, there's no NEON assets on orbit right now, but that data will come through the same place. It goes to the NOAA Open Data Dissemination Network, the NOD, NODD at NOAA.gov is the email address to use if you have any questions, and all users should be able to get data they need in the format needed through that interface. And with that, I think, Oriana, I don't know if you need me to go through the thank you slide or if that is just there for reference.
Just there for reference. Thank you,
Okay,
Henry. Gracias.
fantastic.
We are done with the NOAA updates, so muchísimas gracias for having us. And with that, I open the floor to any questions. If not, I hand it back to Diego and Marcial.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Noriana, Andrew, Monica, Henry. I have a question for Andrew. I'm not sure if I got it right, but as far as I understand, the first satellite in the GeoXO series in 2032 will be called Geo1 and will be placed on the west position. Is this correct? Andrew? Can
Andy?
you hear?
Maybe
Yeah,
step
Andy.
up for a second.
You're
Yeah,
muted.
let me chat.
Okay.
Or maybe, Oriana, if you can bring up the slide for that one so we can check that.
Yes, that's true. The Geo1
Yes.
is in the west in 2032.
Oh, okay. So the first one will be on the west, and the second one in 2034 will be on the east position, right? Okay.
Oops. Sorry, apologies. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah,
the first one on the west, the second one on the east, the third one on the west, and the fourth one on the east. Okay. 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 Also, thank you for sharing the user engagement roadmap. I think that it's the next slide. Just as we did ahead of the GOES-R launch, the SDR group will be following closely these activities, particularly the user readiness efforts planned, that it is to begin on 2027 to help ensure the international community is well prepared for GeoXO. Also, thank you for sharing the details on the data distribution. This is also crucial for the community's planning, and it is great to hear that these complementary distribution mechanisms are being considered. Also, thank you, Henry, for the updates on NEON and LEO. This is also important as we have several HRD stations in the international community that will need to be updated for JPSS2, for example, in terms of software. So that's important for our planning. We have some other questions here on the chat. Daniel Villa, would you like to?
No, my question is about the launch of geostationary on the east. As you can show the slide with the time frame of the launch of the geo satellites. Okay, that one. When you show the two, the previous one. Okay, this one. Okay, what we can see here is we will not have a latent mapper on the east side till time 3043 or something like this. Is this possible to switch with hyperspectral sounder? Because here in our region, lighting activity is quite important, and perhaps it's a good idea to switch between IR sounding and lighting mapper. This is just an idea to discuss.
Yes. Thank you, Daniel. And I think we captured it. Your sound was coming in and out. That's something we'll have to take back, but we will definitely take it back to the program managers that are coordinating the GOES. So I will take note and report back.
Okay, thank you, Oriana.
And also, as we are going to see in the last presentation on the preliminary results of the regional survey, thunderstorms are the highest priority in our region, and GLM is the product that it's by far most used by our community to monitor this hazard. So it's something for us to discuss in the near future, if possible, about this possible switch. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your question.
Yeah, Rodney had a question.
Rodney, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much to our colleagues of NOAA for the update. I just had a comment, maybe a proposal for collaboration for the user engagement activities next year. One regarding to land and agriculture users, and another one related with fires and smoke. And I think we can contribute just with the connection of the communities that are working in the context in the continent, with the different platforms and networks that we are working with. So if there is any opportunity of interaction and try to put together these communities with your symposiums or activities, we will be very pleased to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. I don't know if Andy, if you wanted to say something there, but just in general, Andy alluded to this, but it was thanks to Rodney and all his help that we were able to hold that large WMO focused webinar back in December last year. And I think that's what Andy was getting at. If there was opportunity to do a few more of those, that would be great. So Rodney, let's continue the conversation as we move forward. Thanks.
Thank you. There is another question on the chat. Are you expecting a period of time? No, not that one. You already answered it. Any intention to launch microwave imagers instead of sounders in the NEO network?
Yes, this was answered by
okay.
Henry. Okay.
Okay. The answer is on the chat. Thank you, Henry. Do we have any other questions? I'm not seeing any other additional questions on the chat. If not, let's move on to our next topic. Again, thank you very much to our colleagues from NOAA for this presentation. This is just a slide to demonstrate how we documented the receive stations from the community, and both for both GRB stations and HRD stations. So we are aware of the data reception capabilities of our community, and we'll be following closely the updates from NOAA to inform users about the necessary actions in the future in terms of updates for the LEO stations, for example. Okay, thank you. Now let's move on and hear the updates from the WMO Regional Office for the Americas. And let's invite Daniel Villa, Technical Coordinator of Infrastructure for WMO RAM. Hola, Daniel, bienvenido.
Thank you very much, Diego. Buenas tardes a todos, buenos días. So I believe that you take me all I have to say because you presented the new structure of Regional Association 3 and 4, the new focal point and expert teams, both in place in both regions. We had a couple of weeks ago the first meeting of the expert team in Regional Association 4, and the members of the group is just drafting the activities for the rest of the year. The same thing that you did, Diego, for Regional Association 3. We have a working plan in place. So this will be for the period to 24 to 27. So, I believe that from the regional office perspective, everything is working as expected. So with the focal point in Region 3 and an expert team in Region 4 for satellite data requirements, and working together in this particular group, which is the coordination group, a very successful one, I would say. So it's important to maintain this to not lose time with others, because I know that more interesting things to hear from others. I left the place to Diego. This is with you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the updates. And right now we have 56 participants in this teleconference. I think it's the highest number of participants in the group's history in our 36 teleconferences. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the community for this engagement. Do we have any questions for Daniel? Okay, if not, let's move on to our next topic for today. And before we move on to our next presentation on WIS 2.0 for satellite data, let us give you some brief background on why this presentation is important. Last year, we held the 11th meeting of the Expert Team on Space Systems and Utilization, or ETSSU, which is basically a group that provides advice and support for the implementation of the space-based component of the WMO WIGOS, or Integrated Global Observing Systems. And during that meeting, we had a session dedicated to regional engagement, where focal points from our regional associations provided feedback on various topics, including satellite data access mechanisms. And based on these presentations, we noted an underutilization of WIS 2.0, which is the WMO framework for data sharing that allows users to access data in real time. And as a result, one of the actions from that meeting was to present WIS 2.0 at our regional SDR meetings. And that's the goal of our next presentation. And now I would like to invite our colleague Simon Elliott from UMETSAT, who kindly accepted our invitation to present details on WIS 2.0 today. So welcome, Elliott, and once again, thank you very much for making time for this presentation. Okay, welcome, and you may go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, gracias, Diego. Buenos tardes, buenos días. That's the end of the Spanish. Now I will share my screen with you. But I'd like to start by thanking you for the chance to present this. It's a big opportunity for me, and I'm glad that you reached out and used that slot. Can I confirm that you can see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Very good. Okay, so because although I know some of you, I don't know everybody, I will, if I can just go to the next page somehow. Yeah, I'll just let you know who I am so you know what you're dealing with. I work at UMETSAT in Darmstadt in Germany, where I'm responsible for looking after our data exchange with partner agencies around the world. Like in China, in India, Japan, like you can see there. And I'm involved in many international groups to do with data exchange and collaboration, several groups and teams at WMO and CGMS. And maybe some of you heard of GODEX, NWP, or DPNet. And in all of those groups, I'm quite active. And a bit of the focus here is my background in data exchange, where I worked extensively with the GTS and now with WIS 2.0. And that's why I'm in a position to tell you something today. And I included a photo from the Arctic last week, where I was in visiting a center in Lapland, so you can see what I look like if you haven't met me. Okay, then let's return to the presentation. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the WIS 2.0 and what it has to offer. As you heard, this came from ETSSU. There are plenty of information you can access at WMO about why there's a move to away from GTS to WIS 2.0. In simple terms, the technology has worked very well for 60 years, give or take, and is still working, but it's outdated and doesn't support the big variety and volume of data we have now. It's also complicated, expensive, and so on. And so we have a new system, WIS 2.0, and that WMO is carefully managing a gradual transition from the old GTS for global exchange of meteorological data to WIS 2.0. In fact, the timeline is that the pre-operational phase of WIS 2.0 has already ended at the end of last year. And now we're in a transition phase for 5 years. That means effectively that WIS 2.0 is operational. It can be used operationally. And it also means that the manual on the GTS is frozen and the GTS catalog is frozen. And this means that no new data can go on the GTS and no new bulletin headers can be allocated. So we're really moving towards a strong push towards WIS 2.0. And I put a green box down here just to tell you some of the satellite data that's already being regularly exchanged in this way, and it's available to everyone. So there are some atmospheric motion vectors from the Indian INSAT 3DR satellite. There are radio occultation data from FY3E, China satellite in the dawn-dusk orbit. There's DPNet data, the direct broadcast from all kind of satellites and instruments already there, provided by NOAA via SIMS in Madison. And also, excuse me a moment. Also, there is DPNet data from the Hong Kong Observatory, which says NK over here, but I'm in the Hong Kong Observatory, and plenty of data from Météo France from their DPNet stations in Papeete in the Pacific. We also have data provided by KMA from GeoComSat. They've got atmospheric motion vectors out there. From EUMETSAT, we're sharing various data sets, including images from our geostationary satellite. And also we're doing a demonstration of the exchange of space weather data with ESA, sharing some Korean space weather data. So these are already all flowing. And there's only ever going to be an increase in the data that's available from WIS 2. This slide is provided by WMO, and it shows a high-level view of the architecture of how WIS 2 works. And the message here is that the users, these are people taking data are on the top right. The providers of data are on the bottom right, called WIS 2 nodes. And the big box on the left are the global, so-called global services, which enable the system to run. And I won't use your time today going through all of that, but you can read about those on the WMO website and what they all do. But basically, the nodes, the data providers, work through the global services, and the users only talk to the global services. And so for core data, at least, there's no real connection between the provider and the user. It's all decentralized and made much easier for both partners. I'll try and show that in the next slide. Now, on the left here, I've got an example of someone providing data. It could be from their forecast or from a synoptic station or from their satellite, from a direct readout station. This is the data source. They then make that available on something called a node, which is a simple piece of software connected to the internet. And that node communicates with global services, something called a global broker, which passes little messages about advising you of the availability of data. And the data themselves are taken to global caches, which are at the bottom in green. The user, the provider only ever needs to send their data to cache one or two places. They don't have to send it to hundreds of users. The user, on the other hand, contacts their favorite broker. They can pick one. There are 4 brokers. They just pick one. And then that broker will tell them which cache or where in each cache the data are they're interested in. And they get the data from the cache. They don't need to worry about contacting a user on the other side of the world. This is all this is all achievable and implementable using free, simple software on the internet that's widely available. It's all open source, and the data transfer is all via the internet. So there's no special networks needed or anything like that. Okay, and the picture there simplifies things a little, but the idea, I hope, is clear. Let's take the case of user D, like I described in the box. That user on the right-hand side has chosen to work with the global broker in China. They can just pick one of the four brokers. And then every time some data they're interested in comes along, the broker in China gives them a message saying where the data are. And that's the dotted line. And then the user will follow the solid line to one of the caches to go and get those data. And that's all there is to it in WIS2. It's quite a simple architecture. I'll carry on a little bit. Here's some impact on moving from GTS to WIS2 for the global data providers and consumers. If you're taking data from the GTS at the moment, then you'll need to change things around and subscribe to a global broker and get your WIS2 global broker and get your data from WIS2. If you're a data provider putting information onto the GTS, you can't put anything new on there. As I said, new data can only go onto WIS2, and gradually everything that's already on the GTS needs to transition to WIS2 by 2030. This transition is not complicated, and the WMO Secretariat are very able to help. They're very supportive. They have software to help you do this and lots of expertise. And I can encourage you to contact the very simple address wis@wmo.int. Well, that was wis@wmo.int. If you've got questions, they will certainly help you out. Anyway, the takeaway here is that this is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. This is an enabling transition. It means, for instance, you can share bigger data sets than you could with GTS. It means you can use different formats. Whatever your users need, that's what you can put onto WIS2. And it also makes it much easier for users to get data. They just need access to the internet. They don't have to connect to the GTS, which was just for big centers. Okay, let me move forward a little bit. Here's a view of what's going on right now. I'm taking the opportunity where I can to pop up at meetings like this and conferences and workshops and take what time I can that's offered to explain to people how they can share data and what data they can get from WIS2. And you can see in the list of meetings there, for instance, the ETSSU that Diego was referring to in the end of last year. And we also use the chance to visit some centers for a specific discussion with them about how they can use WIS2 and what it means. And we've done that with SIMS and in Finland and in India and so on. So those conversations are happening as well, specifically for sharing satellite data. At the moment, there are 4 global brokers running in WIS2, supporting all the message transfer. One of those is running at NOAA, and one is running at IMHPA in Brazil, and the others are in France and in China. And there are 6 global caches, and there are also 3 discovery catalogs. These are places where the discovery catalogs, you can go and look and find out where data are available. And there are 2 global monitoring centers for WIS2 that are just coming online, and they're in Morocco and China. And in terms of data providers, there are already many countries putting data into WIS2. When I wrote the slide here, there were 71 centers already providing data, 71 nodes, and there's lots of information already flowing. What I'd like to do now is try and share a live view of what's flowing through WIS2. You know, I I hope you can bear with me because sometimes live demonstrations can be difficult, but I hope it's going to work. So I'm going to stop sharing that view, and I'm going to try and share my something else. And perhaps if it becomes visible, someone, can you see a screen with bars on the left and a pane on the right?
Yes,
Anyone?
we can see the
Good,
MQTT Explorer.
Very good. So I've used some free software called MQTT Explorer, and I've connected it using the publicly available credentials to the global WIS2 broker at INMET there in Brazil. But I could equally well have connected to the global broker in China or in NOAA or in France. It's the same view. And here you can see on my screen, here it says Meteo France, and I can see they have observation data from CRIS and ATMS on NOAA 20, NOAA 21, from ATMS on SNPP, and some data from METOPC. These are DBNet files that are being shared live on WIS2 from Meteo France. Similarly, I can see that there are some data from AMI, the imager on the Korean GeoComSat-2A satellite. And here's UMETSAT's images and some cloud motion vectors from our hyperspectral sounder. Our partners, our friends at NOAA SIMS are also providing direct broadcast data. Here you can see they have IASI and CRIS full spectral resolution data. Maybe you saw it flash then in the background. I think, yeah, there it's flashing. If I look at this one, if I look on the right side of the screen, the writing is very small, but I can see that it says on my screen 8:04 p.m. That's the time here in Germany. So it's right now. And there is some information telling me that these are DBNet data, for instance, and it tells me that they are available. And then there's a hyperlink here on my screen. And if I was to take this hyperlink and copy it into a browser, it would download that data set directly to my PC. That's all you need. It's not more complicated than that. That's the whole thing of how WIS2 is working. Also on the page, if I scroll a little further down, you can see that our friends in CMA in China are sharing some radio occultation data, as I said, from FY3E. We can see the atmospheric motion vectors from INSAT 3DR. These were shared an hour and a half ago. And we have NOAA 20 direct broadcast data coming from the Hong Kong observatory. And that was so half an hour ago as well. So these data are flowing live now, and anything that I was interested in here, of course, I can do it by hand, but also it's very easy to write some software which pulls the URL, the internet address from this message, and then goes and downloads the data using a little bit of software. I'll stop sharing this, but those of you who are interested afterwards, of course, I'll share the slides with Diego. He can do what he wants. You can download MQTT Explorer for free. There are other MQTT software you can use for free, but this is just the one that I like. And then if you do that, you can get the credentials to access the global broker from WMO. They're publicly available. You know, in the end, you'll find out the username is everyone and the password is everyone. So it's really open. And this lets you access all of these data. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'm going to return to my slide deck. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm nearly done anyway. Don't worry. So where were we? We were in here, and then yeah, I'll go very quickly through this. This is the way the incoming data is handled. So imagine a little bit of software running in the middle here, where it says WIS2 ingest. You can pick a broker for the sake of exercise, for the sake of argument. Here, I've connected in my diagram to the global broker at NOAA and told it what data I want. And every time something matches what I ask for, let's say radio songs from North America or ship data from the Pacific or whatever I like, then I get a message back from the broker. And the broker says, you can get those data from, and it tells me how to get it from the caches at the bottom, the 6 caches. In my case, I just take the first cache that offers it, and I grab those data from the internet, and then pass them to the right to my downstream applications. And that's all you have to do. The next page, I don't want you doing this. This is what you don't need to do, but this is the way that we have decided to provide data using WIS2. And it's a diagram showing part of our big data management infrastructure. And what we've done is add a little layer on top to turn it into a WIS2 node. But I don't want to dwell on that picture. It's not very helpful. We're right at the end now. I think this is the last slide. I don't need to go through it all here, but there's some tips listed on the slide for the steps you need to do if you want to provide data. If you want to be a source and share data, that's the top section. The middle section is for anybody in the public, anybody who wants to. That's how you get data from WIS2. You don't need special credentials for that. It's all open and available. And the last part is just a note that before you can share data and put data onto WIS2, you need to be recognized by WMO as a trusted source of information. And there's a process behind that which involves registering and so on. Again, WMO can help with the details there, the secretariat. And some national centers are already able to do this. So that step isn't even a problem for most of you. And with that, I think that's the end of my presentation. I'll share the slides, as I say, afterwards. In fact, there's 1 or 2 hidden slides that you'll find to enjoy in your leisure. And yeah, with that, I'd like to thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for this excellent presentation and demonstration, Elliot. My colleagues here at NPA were able to run some tests successfully with WIS2 using the instructions provided by you during ETSSU, so we really appreciate it. And we also share the recording of this call and your slides with the community. I'm sure they will be very useful for others who want to test and explore.
Great.
Countries in RA3 and RA4 are using WIS2 for surface and upper air stations. There's a suggestion we could request a talk about the technical aspects of it in the near future for the members. And Alberto Elguera from Cuba said that if anyone is interested in a more detailed explanation, I am agreeable to meet them at any time. Danielle commented that 80% of members will run WIS 2.0 in the next months. And we can schedule a meeting of the technical group of the satellite data requirements to cover this topic. There are an expert team on WIS on RA3 and RA4. And Alberto also shared the username and password that applies to all global brokers and most WIS2 nodes as well. So a lot of interaction here on the chat. Thank you again, Elliot, for your presentation. And Danielle wants to make a comment?
Yes, no, I would like to make a question, not comment, regarding, I'm not sure, of course, this is great. This is a wonderful system to that exchange. It's important to know that in the region we are using what WMO is providing in terms of software with his WIS2 box. Alberto can talk a little bit about that, but my question is about, can we share all that information through WIS 2.0? Because this is an enormous amount of data. So at some point, I believe we will need to continue using the usual methods or sources to exchange data, satellite data, because I'm not sure if we have the possibility to share the data through this magnificent piece of software. But Elliot, I would like to get your opinion on that.
Okay, let me answer straight away. It's a very good point, and there is a huge volume of data. However, the design is quite sympathetic to that, because the centers which operating the 6 global caches are specifically designed, the caches, to deal with a huge amount of data and many users. So they are the centers with the big infrastructure that are ready to support that. The centers which are providing data, the WIS2 nodes, don't have to deal with the whole world coming and asking. Only the caches will take the data once. It removes a big overhead for all the individual data providers. Of course, it pushes this overhead to the caches, but the caches are hosted by centers with huge infrastructure that's specially designed to deal with this. And so, in fact, it's quite liberating. The users will get plenty of little messages from the broker, but the messages are very small and light and go fast, just a few bytes. This doesn't block up anything. You're right that it's a very big bit of work for the caches if they try and hold all the satellite data for a long time. But this is only really an issue for those centers that are operating the caches, and not.
Yes, this is because my question. I'm talking about the caches.
Yeah. So the way we work with the caches, yeah, in principle, all core data should be cached in the cache. But that's the default. But we are able to say, no, this data set is too big and too much of a burden for the poor cache. And we can instruct the cache not to cache the data. And in that case, the user would be directed automatically to the source of the data, not to the cache. And then the center generating the huge data set will have to deal with the user requests. This is invisible to the user when they use WIS2.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, because this is something I'm just considering, because of course we know that the amount of satellite data is increasing every day, I would say, and we need to find a solution. And I believe that one is something that is quite possible when the cache cannot deal with that amount of data, just send to the data provider, and the data provider would do the same thing, and it's invisible for the user. So thank you very much for the explanation.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for your excellent question, and thank you, Simon, for your explanation. I don't see any other questions. Do we have any other questions for Simon? If not, sorry?
No, I don't think so. Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you very much, Simon, for your participation and collaboration, and let's definitely keep in touch. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Before our next presentation by our colleague Yu Jiang from CIRA, let us give you some brief background on how the connection between the SDR group and this research initiative came about. Last year, I had the opportunity to visit CIRA thanks to an invitation from Bernie Collin to discuss VLab related activities, as NPA is one of the regional centers of excellence from the VLab initiative. And during that visit, I was introduced to Yu Jiang and this research on an experimental product called the Satellite Cloud Vertical Cross-Section product, which is especially important for the aviation community. And our interactions started because just before the visit last year, we had an aircraft accident here in Brazil related to severe icing. And at that time, the Brazilian authorities were using satellite information for the investigation. So we exchanged some information with CIRA during the visit. And as Yu Young will present, CIRA processed this product for this particular case study in Brazil, as we are going to see. And also, during this visit, she kindly provided a link to test this product for the CONUS region, which is the area currently available on the product webpage. And then in August, last month, we hosted colleagues from the Brazilian Air Force here at IMHPA for training on satellite data. And among the topics discussed, we included novel satellite products. And we presented CIRA's research. And they were able to test this online interface for the CONUS region, and they were very impressed with the product and the usefulness of the product. And they asked about the possibility of making it available for other regions like South America in the future, which led to discussions with CIRA on this potential expansion. And as a first step for this collaboration, we decided to present this research to the international community during today's SDR call. As we discussed it many years ago during our SDR meetings, the chicken and egg problem, right? Where users will not request a particular satellite product unless they know its usefulness, but they can only understand its usefulness if the product is already available for them. And at the same time, data providers will add this product to a distribution mechanism if there's user demand. So to break this cycle, we need to demonstrate products while also providing a perspective of sustainability. And that's the objective of this presentation today. So I would like to invite our colleague, Yu Young from CIRA. And once again, thank you for making time to present. Welcome. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And you may go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, so you can see my screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I'm Yu Jung, YJ, working at one of NOAA Cooperative Institute we call CIRA, Colorado State University. This work is very collaborative teamwork. I listed some names here, but it's very, very long list of our collaborators, especially NOAA, SIMS, and Alaska Aviation users. So Diego already gave a very good introduction for this work, but it's a little bit more background and some recent progress view. So satellite imagery products are very popular and useful to see various clouds and general situation awareness. But it's our team is working on to provide more quantitative cloud information, especially extending and adding one more dimension, vertical dimension, which is usually very challenging in traditional satellite observations. So this is one of the products we have been developing, cloud layers. So not just where is a cloud. Now you can see this cloud is low clouds, mid-level clouds, some vertically extended deep convections like this. So I'm sitting here. I just want to share where I am working. Actually, Bernie is here too. We are sitting in the Rocky Mountain area in Colorado. So nice to see you all actually virtually. So this is a list of currently operational at NOAA level 2 cloud product. This is so many here. So especially our team has been working on, it's relatively new members, cloud base and cloud cover layers, which are giving some sort of a vertical information from satellite cloud observations. So we've been developing this new algorithms using multiple satellite data, NASA A-Train satellite data, CloudSat, Calypso, and MODIS. And this is giving cloud-based information, and this cloud-based information is also used to improve another satellite product we call cloud cover layers here. So you can find all the algorithm development details in this papers listed here. So actually it says a scientist, algorithm developer. This is one achievement, but we started working together with aviation users in support of NOAA JPS's Proving Ground aviation initiative efforts for last several years. The biggest lesson we learned is there are too many data sets available out there, and our users too busy or unfamiliar with the satellite data. So I found actually we just add 2 more to this long product list. And sometimes our users even didn't know these kind of products are out there. So that is our motivation for this kind of work, inspired by user suggestions and feedback in support of NOAA JPS's Proving Ground efforts. So our goal is here to extend the benefit of satellite cloud data with emphasis on its 3D extension for aviation users. And we want to support general situation awareness and hope to provide more custom-tailored satellite data focusing on users' need. So through several years of research effort, this is the concept how we provide the cloud 3D data, cloud cross sections here. So individual cloud products, level 2 products are this kind of a pixel level individual product, cloud top, cloud base. You can find cloud base along with all the imagery data. We actually develop a new approach combining all the information into one gridded 3D domain. Based on the several users' requests and the feedback, we added several supplementary data, temperatures, pilot for icing turbulence information, terrain information as well. So we've been updated this data set, so you can find this kind of cross sections, which is available on our aviation website as well. This is vertical domain. This is one example over Alaska, Bethel, and the Anchorage airport. You can see vertical cross sections, you can see terrain, and this cloud information derived from NOAA Enterprise Cloud products, cloud top, cloud base, colored by cloud phase. You can see which clouds are available here. And this temperature sounding data we call new caps, or from NWP data, you can see some important temperature profile information here. So PIRAP report is available across the satellite over past time. You can see icing and turbulence data as well in one shot. So this is we call cross-section product, experimental product actually. So this research product is available on Cirrus Aviation experimental product website for custom cross sections. Currently for Alaska and the US CONUS data here. So user quick guide is available as well. So this is a research product, but you can do your own experiment by clicking 2 points or multiple points to get your own cross sections like this. So this is one example over Alaska. So you can create your own cross sections here based on the satellite cloud product. And we recently added the smoke profiles from NWP data or smoke model. So you can add smoke data. We hope to provide a better visibility information for aviation users here. So it's another example. That's Hurricane Fiona. It's if you want to fly over this hurricane, actually, I don't think anybody else wants to fly over there. So you can create your own cross sections like this. This is our test, some sort of a virtual test bed for user evaluation and feedback. So this effort has been actually advertised to other aviation users here. So we are working together with the AWC, Aviation Weather Center, forecasters and the developers for further evaluation. And thankfully, Alaska local pilots are very interested in this kind of approach because always a lack of observation data there. And recently, we started providing supplementary data for aircraft incident accident investigations for NTBS and the FAA. This is one example where Alaska occurred near the Fairbanks airport. It's some sort of turbulence-related accident, actually. So we provided this kind of cross sections. This is very important, especially for data sparse regions like the Alaska. So they are using our data sets for supplementary data for their case investigations. So this is another example we provided to FAA case investigations around the very hard turbulent date around the Texas airports. We also provide this as kind of a temporal series of all the cross sections. And it's another recent data. It's a very tragic crash over the Alaska near the Nome airport. So even we got the request from NTVS even before their finding, they found this aircraft. So we provided this data for a preliminary atmospheric weather condition assessment for their investigation as well. So as Diego already introduced, we also working on some sort of a science research and some data supplementary data provided to some researchers or other collaborators here. So this is one other tragic aircraft accident related to icing here. So aircraft is supposed to fly from here to this is Sao Paulo, and this crash occurred near this area. So it's from cloud cover layer product. We can see some multiple layers over here. And we also computed the cross sections using GO16 ABI data for this case. So we can see it's still further investigations are undergoing, but we also provide some sort of possibility very heavy icing related evidence using satellite data. So it's just not just the data dissemination or just a demonstration. We are also working on some science algorithm improvements utilizing AI and machine learning approaches these days. Still for satellite cloud retrieval algorithm development, very challenging topics are multi-layers or nighttime clouds, because especially nighttime, we don't have a visible band information. So all the data quality has been degraded. So we are utilizing AI approach. So you can see this is operational output from NOAA DCOM, daytime cloud micro fixed schemes and nighttime cloud fixed schemes. So you can see very big discontinuity in cloud water path, which is very important input for all the cross-section products. So we've been applying UNet approach to overcome this limitations. So we also compared this UNet approaches with the JPS's DMB day-night band approaches, which is utilizing moonlight for nighttime cloud microphysics retrievals. This is still a research product, very promising, but we hopefully it can help to provide a more accurate nighttime cloud products and also some three-dimensional cloud water content product. This is another AI approach we've been developing, which is very important for satellite-based in-flight icing detection as well. So this is some sort of snapshot what kind of researches we are working on. So with this kind of new approaches, it's just one example how we can apply for nighttime cloud retrievals. It's Himawari 9 AHI. So you can see where is a day and the nighttime. So current cloud geometric thickness algorithm outputs are a little bit discontinued along with the terminator area. So with the new approach, you can see some sort of improve the cloud geometric thickness. Very, very helpful for a more accurate nighttime cloud cross-section product as well. So this is just the introduction. So you can find more details about AI approaches here, this paper. So with this research effort, actually, U.S. Department of Defense Office of Naval Research found some utility of this satellite 3D approach for global mission support. So recently we got funding from this ONR. We call the SDR Overcast project. So this is a military Navy support. So maybe characteristics and some features are required by sponsors a little bit different, but we are leveraging the basic approach I showed before. So currently it's a GeoRing. We call the several multiple geostationary satellite data. It's for global coverage. So it's still internally available. So you can see where is a water clouds, liquid cloud, mixed phase cloud, ice cloud over the globe. So this is one example, not just the animation, actually using our real 3D satellite data here. So you can see all the 3D features of the clouds here. So we are also working on polar orbiting satellites to improve some sort of coverage over high latitude as well. And additional machine learning based advanced products are also being incorporated for this Overcast product. So this is just a snapshot for how we are combining all kinds of global multiple satellite into one big domain. This is a cloud topic, but actually output is just in 3D. So with this new 3D cloud data, so this is one application, how we can use this data. So this is a total sky imager. It's a measurement instrument actually. So from our 3D cloud data, you can see where is a cloud in 3D domain like this. This is some sort of a new application we can think of using this new satellite data. So just a snapshot, it's a big project. There are so many other aspects here, but I just want to share what we are working on currently. So this is a summary for our satellite cloud cross-sections based on the 3D approach. We are working on several science algorithm improvements here. And we are also working on to add a new satellite to overcome some sort of a temporal coverage limitations over high latitude areas. So MetApp SG MetImage is another candidate. And also for better data training, we are also working on to add a new European Earth scale data sets. And the LEO-GEO collocation and blending is another approach for synergistic improvements for both satellite platforms. We are also working on that. And the mostly important part is how we can demonstrate this kind of new data sets to our end users. So we are still operating our aviation research website here, so you can taste how we can use this kind of data sets. And we are also working more opportunity to be involved in international collaborations, like an international cloud working group and the ESCAPE and next generation activities. And again, this research is some sort of a combination of all these components. Every component is very important for further improvements and the demonstration and future research directions as well. So this is just the introduction of our team's work, but hopefully we can get more collaborations and suggestions and the valuable feedback from the broad user groups as here. So thank you. And any questions, please.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Yu Jong. We will share the recording with of the session with the group and also your slides. And we strongly encourage our members on this call to share this information with your national aviation community so they are aware of this research. And after this initial engagement with the SDR group, our idea is to follow up and connect with other WMO committees and focal points to highlight the benefits this product can bring to the community and explore, as you said, potential international collaborations. Do we have any comments? Danielle, go ahead. We can't hear you. You are muted.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's excellent. I believe it falls very well in what we call committee of services, because aviation is in both regions, Region 3 and Region 4. We have one focal point in Region 3, an expert team in Region 4 that for sure will be very interested to hear from you about this development, because from my point of view, is just to put all you know about the physics of those data into a single piece that, of course, is not a single piece, but everything you know about the physics in a tool that could be very useful for aviation, for sure. And of course, as the technical coordinator of infrastructure in the regional office for the Americas, so I'm responsible for Region 3 and Region 4, I would like to invite you to give us a presentation for those groups on aviation, because I believe that, and for sure from WMO, we will support all efforts for collaboration. I know that IMHPA in Brazil, they have the facilities to run this kind of complex piece of software. But for sure, from WMO, we will support all kind of collaboration among members to bring this to the members, because we need to help members. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very valuable comments and very encouraging feedback.
Excellent. Do we have any other comments? If not, so thank you very much. Yu Young, we'll be in touch to follow up on possible new actions in the future. Thank you very much for your presentation. Before we move on to the next presentation from the community, I forgot that we had another question on GeoLam from our colleague from Argentina. Let me try to find it. And I wonder if our colleagues from NOAA are still there. Martin Rugna asked, a few days ago, the GeoLam science meeting was held, and then Lindsay presented this roadmap for the GeoXO and the changes that arisen recently. As I understand, the GeoSatellite has space for 2 instruments nadir pointing. If the fluid changes allow for LMX to be fully funded, that implies that the sounder will be moved from GEO2 to the other satellite, or there is space for the 3 instruments, GXI, LMX, and GXX. Do we have any? Oriana, are you still there?
Yes. Yes. Hi, Diego, and thanks for that.
Hola.
I actually took the question. Dan was supposed to have attended. He's actually flying back today, so he wasn't able to be here.
Yeah.
So I will just have to follow up with you, because I'm not exactly sure, and I don't want to possibly say something that he just, like is noted here, yesterday presented on. So I'll follow up and I'll share with you, and then maybe we can distribute it out to the community.
Okay, Oriana, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much. All right, next item on the agenda, satellite user community updates. And we will hear a presentation from the Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology of Panama, delivered by our colleague Abdiel Vázquez, covering satellite data usage, challenges, and findings. Hola, Abdiel, ¿me escuchas? Muchas gracias por la participación. Y también agradezco a Eliseth por ayudar en esta coordinación. Es muy importante tener Panamá representado en nuestro grupo. Bienvenido y puedes compartir tu pantalla. Please go ahead and share your screen.
Hola, muy buenas.
Hola. Te escuchamos perfectamente.
¿Aló? ¿Se me escucha?
Sí, perfectamente.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Abdiel Vázquez. Yo soy meteorólogo pronosticador del Instituto de Meteorología e Hidrología de Panamá, y es un placer poder estar con ustedes por primera vez desde Panamá, haciéndole lo que va a ser la presentación para lo que es la actualización en este grupo de la región 3 y la región 4. El Instituto de Meteorología e Hidrología de Panamá, voy a hablar en español.
Abdiel, pues,
¿escucha?
no sé si estás compartiendo tu diapositiva. Tienes que hacer clic en Share en la interfaz del Teams.
¿Ahora?
Perfecto, ahora vemos. Gracias.
Sí, nosotros somos el Instituto de Meteorología e Hidrología de Panamá, representante oficial ante lo que es la OMM, y básicamente, al igual que los demás institutos de todo Centroamérica, nuestro rol es ofrecer una información de primera, obviamente meteorológica en todos los ámbitos, y con ello, pues, apoyar tanto de forma local como internacional en la comunidad meteorológica. Con respecto a nuestra forma de accesar a lo que es la data, lo hacemos a través de recursos libres. Estos son productos de lo que ofrecen la NOAA, como lo es la AOMDL, que estos ofrecen productos más que nada de temperaturas del océano, productos también a través del WeatherNet, que es un visualizador, el cual visualiza todas las bandas del satélite del GOES-16, tanto como la actualización ahora que es el GOES-19. También accedemos aunque de una forma un poco limitada, a través de lo que es el GOES-R de la NOAA, a través de la NUT que está conectado, ya sabemos, con el Web Service de Amazon. Y a través también de lo que es el IMHPA, el Datasat, lo que es, básicamente este es bastante amplio, ya que ofrece una gama de imágenes satelitales de años anteriores, lo cual es bastante relevante, puesto que, la única limitación es que las imágenes son en el cono bastante ampliado. MeteoBlue, que también es un visualizador de acceso libre, y es bastante impresionante todo lo que ofrece este software, e incluso descargas de archivos en varios formatos como CSV para luego procesarlos, e incluso a través de QGIS. Y lo que es Meteologic, que para mí es uno de los mejores con respecto a accesos libres, ya que te permite seleccionar hasta lo que es el país en específico, ofreciéndote una imagen en resolución bastante amplia. En cuanto a los software de análisis, usamos ya lo que creo que todo el mundo conocemos aquí, como lo que es el Google Colab. El QGIS está bastante trabajándose en proceso para que sea implementado en todos nosotros, y también a través de lo que son pequeños códigos de script de Python. Visualización. La primera visualización que yo tengo aquí es tomada de lo que es Meteologics. Como comenté hace unos minutos atrás, Meteologics ofrece un servicio súper avanzado en lo que respecta a mi opinión. Aquí podemos ver que estoy tomando unas imágenes satelitales del año 2024, específicamente septiembre, y todo lo que es nuestra región, el país de Panamá. Estas bandas yo puedo tanto mezclarlas como también puedo ampliarlas mucho más, y la visualización es súper altísima. Del lado derecho tenemos una extracción de lo que fue la data a través de MeteoBlue en formato CSV, y está procesada, en la cual tomamos toda la temperatura, la precipitación y la velocidad del viento en todo lo que fue el año 2024. Como ven, para hacer recursos libres son bastante completos en cuanto a la información que nos ofrecen. Por otro lado, tenemos lo que ya son las imágenes de la NASA y R. Estas son tomadas ya en tiempo real, y lo que ofrece por parte del IMHPA de Brasil. La limitante aquí, ya es obviamente la resolución y el cono que ofrece bastante amplio, pero con lo primero que ya había mostrado es bastante suficiente. Por acá tenemos un código, un script de Python trabajado con aquí el compañero Sousa, el cual pues se integran todas las imágenes satelitales, las diferentes bandas de las imágenes satelitales sobre nuestro país. Estas son modificables, no están todas visibles en este momento. De algunas veces están todas, otras veces las desactivamos y dejamos, ya es cuestión a grosso modo de cómo nosotros los queramos visualizar. Por otro lado, tenemos uno de los últimos productos que fue trabajado, bueno, directamente desde el IMPA y de forma interna, en el cual se ofrece, todavía no está a la disposición del país, pero se espera que ese sea el resultado final a disposición pública, en el que pues se integran 3 tipos de imágenes, tanto lo que es la IR, la banda IR, la invisible y también una mezcla de ambas. Este portal no solamente incluye imágenes satelitales, sino que también está integrado a las 309 estaciones meteorológicas que tenemos a nivel nacional, y aunado a ello ofrece una serie de información cuando uno le da clic en cada una de las estaciones. Usos de forma general, sobre todo en Panamá. Obviamente la meteorología nos ayuda bastante al tema de elaborar pronósticos bastante certeros y detectar a tiempo, ¿no? Esas formaciones de tormentas tropicales, las cuales son bastantes inesperadas, sobre todo en la región tropical, donde se nos forman muchas celdas multicelulares, y las cuales pues nos ayudan bastante, sobre todo a determinar desde tempranas horas hasta saber cuál va a ser su ruta, etcétera. En cuanto al tema del clima, obviamente nos ayuda a comprender bastante el comportamiento de estos a nivel de los años, sabiendo y entendiendo que durante los últimos años hemos estado experimentando cambios en el mismo, los cuales son bastante inusuales, tomando como referencia el comportamiento de por lo menos los 15 y los últimos 30 años anteriores. También nos ayudan a prevenir lo que son los desastres, a detectarlos con anticipación, sobre todo el tema de la inundación, que es uno de los temas que sucede bastante en nuestro país cuando se producen estos eventos meteorológicos. Y bueno, también el apoyo en la agricultura, que en los últimos 2 años hemos estado muy conectados con el sector agrícola, probablemente al 100% con ello, ya que hemos visto pues las afectaciones que hemos tenido durante por lo menos la última década en nuestro sector agropecuario. Requirements. Obviamente, acceso a la data, la cual pues es bastante limitada en algunos casos, y bueno, la mayoría requiere bastante de lo que son licencias, etcétera. Desarrollo más de lo que son scripts de Python para pues ayudarnos a automatizar mucho más lo que son nuestros procesos, definir más lo que son las áreas específicamente sobre nuestro país. Y puesto a esto, pues también incluyo lo que es la orografía de nuestro país, que es bastante particular y creo que única en Centroamérica. Obviamente también, como comentaba anteriormente, lo que son el tema de las licencias y un mejor también, sobre todo, conocimiento computacional, entendiendo que vamos años luz, ¿no? Colaboración internacional sobre todo, y ahora pues después de tanto año esto es clave para nosotros y sobre todo en esta reunión. Bueno, resultado de lo que hemos logrado por lo menos en estos últimos años, un monitoreo mucho más mejor, tenemos pronósticos un poco más precisos de los que antes teníamos. Hemos desarrollado bastantes habilidades, aunque bueno, tenemos bastante de lo que son el tema de las licencias limitadas, pues los resultados a través de los recursos gratuitos que encontramos, pues nos han ayudado bastante al tema de tanto estudios como posibles resultados de los mismos. Y bueno, sobre todo creo que el punto, pero sobre todo el más importante, nos ayuda a preservar lo que son las vidas humanas con un pronóstico mucho más anticipado. Esto es todo por parte del Instituto de Meteorología e Hidrología de Panamá. Muchas gracias a todos.
Excelente, excelente. Thank you very much, Abdiel. Muchas gracias. Muy importante, como comentamos, tener los colegas de Panamá en nuestras reuniones regionales, ¿no? Y entonces, with this contribution from Panama, we now have had presentations delivered by 19 member countries from RA-III and RA-IV over the past few years, covering satellite data usage, including Argentina, Belize, Brazil, Barbados, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Curacao, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, Suriname, and now Panama. And this is very important for us to help us coordinate future actions across the region. Do we have any comments or questions to Abdiel? ¿Tenemos preguntas o comentarios sobre la presentación? Y no, muchísimas gracias otra vez, Abdiel, y esperamos tener vuestra participación en nuestras futuras reuniones virtuales y presenciales también. Muchísimas gracias a los colegas de Panamá. Y ahora, let's move on to our last presentation. Last but not least, the WMO RA-III and RA-IV Early Warnings for All survey on the use of satellite data to monitor weather hazards. Back in our teleconference number 35, we discussed how this group would support the Early Warnings for All initiative. At that time, we presented the organization of 2 virtual workshops on the use of satellite data for hazard monitoring, which are now available on the group's webpage. And we also mentioned that a survey would be distributed to identify the priority hazards in RA-III and RA-IV, which satellite products the community is currently using to monitor them, and how this information with the inputs from the data providers could guide a gap analysis on access, processing, visualization, training, and use of satellite data and products. And the objective is to use these results to develop a regional implementation plan addressing the gaps identified and integrate them into the regional operating plans. And thanks to your valuable contributions and your engagement, we received 61 responses from 29 countries across RA-III and RA-IV. And now we have a draft compilation of the survey results, which Marcial will present so that we can review the preliminary findings together and discuss possible next steps. So, Marcial, puedes compartir tu pantalla.
Just a second. Can you see my screen now?
Sí, perfectamente.
Okay, gracias. So I'm going to be presenting in English. If you want me to remark something in Spanish, just let me know. Si quieren que diga alguna de las cosas en español o así, me avisan. Voy a estar presentándolo en inglés. So this is the Early Warnings for All survey. It's not quite the SDR survey that we carry out regularly, but we can actually match some of the things, which is interesting to see. So in this one, we found information about the priority hazards, and these ones were compiled by the WMO Rapid Assessment. As you can see, some of those are important for Region 3 and 4. We can highlight this in the following slide, so I'm not going to take too much time on this one because we're almost at the end of the hour. So in Region 3, these were some of the priority hazards proposed. As you can see in the highlight in blue are the ones that match the rapid assessment. We can also move on to the ones in Region 4. Of course, it starts with hurricanes and extreme temperatures, the tropics after all, but then tropical storms, flash and floods, and some others. With these ones, we created a survey we carried out during a few months using the VLab infrastructure. And we have here the final results. So 29 countries participated in this survey, 61 responses. It consisted of some personal information, the top 5 hazards, and data usage for those hazards. You can see on the right side that most of the answers came back from National Meteorological and Hydrological Services, which is the vast majority, it's 80%. But we also have this 10% of other governmental and extra research institution, academic institutions, and even the private sector contributed to the survey. So here is from the results that we had, compiling all of them, the hazards that we gathered. As you can see, thunderstorms, flood, tropical cyclone, forest fire, and lightning are the top 5. I think someone's got the microphone open. Can you check who that is, Diego?
Yes, I'll check.
Thanks. Thank you. So if we move on to the success that we have using satellite-based hazard monitoring, this is an important one because as we can see here, 31% said that they are very successful using satellite data to monitor the hazards. But there is this 20% where they have limited success. And then there is this big 49% of moderate success. That means that, a large part of the group, almost 70%, is having difficulties using satellite data to monitor whatever they need to monitor. This is an important one, and I would like you to remember these numbers because at some point in the future, we would like to see this mostly green, right? So these are the issues on satellite-based hazard monitoring. As you can see, the top one is inadequacies of the data. And this entire presentation is almost 80 slides. I'm not going to do that right now because we don't have the time. But if you want to look deeper into this, we can send you the entire presentation because it's worth looking into this. Because when you said, for example, the second one is lack of training. We know we have been training a lot. We do a lot of training. The satellite operators train a lot, centers of excellence, the regional training centers, and all of us, we train a lot. So the second issue is lack of training. We will see that in a minute. But then there is the lack of processing and visualization software, data volume, lack of documentation. And remember, not necessarily the documentation is lacking on, for example, manuals or quick guides. Maybe it's internal documentation and some other things that could be affecting this point here. So if we look at training, and I think this is an important result from the previous surveys that we had, the basic training needed is now very low compared to basic training completed. And I think this is an important result for the SDR group because it used to be the opposite. So that means we have been training a lot of the basic training, which is great. But advanced training needed, it's still very high. It's the highest of all. So we need to also support what we do and these hazards. We can improve on those by actually giving this advanced training. But also it's still considerable to have these 50 contributors of the advanced training completed. And of course, that 23 of not trained yet. If we look at these two here, this is mostly IT related. And for some of you who have, specialized software, this could be a little bit weird to see it here. But not all of the members have a specialized software implemented for obtaining, processing, and utilizing satellite data. So that's where it comes from. The visualization challenges, we can see here that not enough computing power to display multiple data sets is the first one. This one has been there for a while, and I'm not sure if Diego would like to say something about this one because it's related to the infrastructure in each of the members' meteorological services and their capabilities of processing the information. So it's somehow hard to actually make it go away quickly. But this one, for example, cannot overlay NWP data on satellite, this is a tool problem. So we need better tools to use the information. There's this combination of satellite data with in situ observations. Similarly, this is a software problem, right? Maybe a proper tool would simply make these two, and the second and the third one, we can make these ones go away in a faster speed than the first one, probably. And I'm not sure if Diego would like to comment on something on the visualization challenges.
I just would like to comment that this is the perfect kind of questions we discuss in our social networks, in our WhatsApp group. So we discuss specific things as we see in this slide. So I think that the most effective way to address this is through these fast communication among members.
Right. Yeah, for example, if you look at the fifth one, it says we cannot zoom into our area of interest using satellite viewer. So if you're using a web-based, some of the web-based tools, they present you with fixed maps that you can use a particular product. So they cannot easily zoom into their countries or regions of interest. So this can be solved with a tool. Sorry about that. With a proper tool for satellite data viewing. So the mesoscale sectors, this one says, you see, many people use this information. So over 60% of the people use the mesoscales, but they don't know how to request it. So we know NOAA has a proper structure of how to request the mesoscale. Sorry about that. But they don't know how to request it. They don't have visualization tools for that one. And some others, they don't even know what the data from the mesoscale actually is. So this is something that we need to improve on, because for the specific hazards, once we have, for example, tropical cyclones, and NOAA moves the mesoscale to that specific area, then it's better data, faster frequency of gathering the information. So knowing how to handle this information is crucial for appropriately handling the hazards. So in this one, we have multiple slides. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's
Marcial?
a lot of information. Yep, go ahead.
Just to highlight the importance of having a lightning mapper covering the east footprint, right? Just you know, as thunderstorms is the first hazard in the list, according to the feedback from the community. And if you go to the slides related to thunderstorms and lightning, and GLM has
it's in many,
a lot of
places.
mentions. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through all of the slides because I want to actually go through the outcomes, but just to go over them quickly. For example, if you look at the floods, this is the first one. We have listed the countries, how they listed it as a first, second, third, or so on hazard. But we also have here for each of those, the information related to the satellites. For example, what bands they use, what RGB products they use, what general satellite products they have for that specific hazard. And this is all compiled in detail for each of those. So if you want to dig into each of the hazards, you can definitely do that. For example, look at the GLM is there, the precipitation estimates there, the hydro estimator, chirps, and many other satellite products are listed for attending floods. And if you look at the level of success here, is only 7%. So they're having only 7% of success monitoring floods using satellite information, which is critical. We can look at drought and dry spell here. You can see that it's listed for El Salvador, Mexico, and Nicaragua. And these are the bands, RGBs, and satellite products that they use for that one. And in this one, it's a little bit better. It's 22% of success. Very successful monitoring this one, but it's still low. I mean, it's still 80% of limited and moderate success of using satellite data. This one is probably the best one we have. I know the Caribbean and Central America, and of course, North America, they do a lot of efforts monitoring this one. So there's a lot of products here listed. GLM is there, ASCAD winds, and many other RGBs are also there. And this one, we have a 71% success for monitoring tropical cyclones, which is, I think it's a great result, and it's the best one we have. Then for another hazard, thunderstorms, you can see Costa Rica, Canada, Argentina, Paraguay, and Trinidad listed as a first hazard. Here are all the products that we use for that one. GLM has here 14 mentions in the product lists, which is very important. And the RGB composites, of course, there's the air mass, day convection, 9 microphysics, and others. This one has a 41% very successful. Of course, there's a lot of improvement to be made here. And the last one, before moving on to the final results here, is rain. As you can see, is listed as a first hazard by several countries. Similarly, band 13 and others from ABI and several RGBs are part of the main one used for monitoring this hazard, with a 30% success, very successful rate. And the forest fire, I think this is the last one, sorry. And the forest fires, Canada, of course, Chile, Colombia, and Mexico here. And these are the products, band 7, which is not a surprise for the hotspots, but some other tools are not used. And I think this is an important one that we can improve on, because it's only got a 25% very successful rate using satellite data for monitoring this hazard. Okay, so finally, the general outcomes. So this survey is a work in progress. It needs steps in a concrete regional implementation plan for this. And this is an important point. By running this survey, we know the problems, we know where they are, we know what the difficulties are, but we need to do something to solve this. And we need to create this regional implementation plan. And I think the main actors that can contribute towards that plan are in this meeting. So we can definitely attack that problem later on once we have these results. So, I mean, advanced products exist because we know they do, but are underused. For example, the NOAA flood mapping products. These ones are really good products, but we don't see the members using them. So we should pair this awareness that we have with how-to workflows. These workflows could actually mean for the members that they know they have this hazard, this problem, so they can find a product. And with this workflow, they can actually implement a solution for that. And this needs to be, if you do it for one country, then you solve one specific member's problem. But this needs to be done in a regional way. Also, if certain products are requested by multiple members, it could be worth considering asking the satellite operators and entities to provide this information in data streams. Then we move to the third one, which is the most common challenges are processing, visualization, and the inability to overlay multiple data sets. Again, this can seem like a very easy to solve problem to some, but remember, we have members in different categories of technical complexity. So for some, this is a very easy thing, and for some, this is a very challenging thing. So the solutions that we provide must include ready-to-run tools and examples in addition to more and better data. And this is an important one. More data is not going to solve this issue. If you provide more data to people who already have problems processing and adding multiple data sets, you're just going to increase the problem. So there needs to be a better solution for that. And of course, for many of our members in Region 3 and 4, Python and Jupyter notebooks and Colab notebooks are really good tools because some of the users actually can generate products out of it. It's not all users that have the necessary skills. And we see these in other parts of the planet. But they can definitely benefit from these ones. Basic training can be found in many places. Many of our regional training centers of excellence, and satellite operators are giving this type of training, but we need to move to more complex or complicated utilization of the products. And this advanced training is something that we definitely need to look into the future. And then here in the second part is just the mesoscale domain sector is there, but it's underutilized. So we need to learn how to request it. And if we don't request it, but it's where we need it, we need to learn how to use it. And I think this is a very important one. And I'm pretty sure we can get some comments out of NOAA or others here for the mesoscale. This a virtual training session, it's important for the products. For example, CIMH has the Tropical Storm Philippe, which was very popular. I think we need to improve on those. Sorry, we need to improve on those trainings. We need more of those type of trainings, like attacking a specific case studies that can be an example for others to follow. And then these last two, these ones are kind of a proposal for you because to avoid this no infrastructure, no software, we need to attack it in different levels. Because if we try to aim for the perfect solution for everybody, we may fail because we're not ready for that in some of the member countries. So we can have different approaches. For example, we can have simple kits that run offline or with low bandwidth for some of the members, but others can be ready for live streaming data, dashboards, and automations of some of the products. And then finally, the eighth one is we could create these how-to workflows for the top hazards. If we want to take all these plots that we saw earlier and move them into 100% green, which would be ideal for everybody, we need to have these workflows that we can actually provide the members with. So if you're monitoring this, this is a way of doing it. And of course, they can improve on it. They can even retrofeedback the members and say, okay, this is an improvement on the workflow that you can use. And we can all benefit from it. An example is for those three hazards listed there, but we can definitely do better for those. And I think that's it. That is the end of it. Sorry for taking so long and going over the time.
Muchas gracias, Marcial. Muy buena presentación. Thank you very much, Marcial. Do we have any comments? I see Kathian would like to comment.
Excellent presentation and excellent results from the survey. I just want to comment on one thing. I think one thing that we're missing, one of the issues is not necessarily that we don't have enough training in some areas. I think what we don't have is dedicated personnel to bridge between the use of the forecasting products and the technical issues. So we have forecasters who may not be as technically savvy, who are not able to utilize all the technology, even the simplest ones, to actually put it into practice. Especially, I think what you need to look to is going back to that slide or the result that says how many met services or meteorological services took part in the survey. And usually you find that they don't have that technical person to actually do the pull down data, to pull down the software, to put the software in place in order for them to utilize the products. And I think that might be something that we need to look at a little bit more closely. Not that there may not be enough training, but or products or tools. It's just to have someone to utilize those tools, products, and training. That was my comments. Quick comments.
Thanks, Kathy. Any other comments or questions? We're over the time, so we don't want to take longer, but we have a couple. Yeah, go ahead. Jorge Dante.
Hola, Marcial.
Mi amigo Jorge Chira. Adelante.
Sí. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás, Marcial? Muy buena presentación. Felicitaciones a ti, a todo el equipo. Una consulta que quiero hacerte es que cuando se habla de la capacitación, del entrenamiento, quizás enfocamos que el personal sigue siendo el mismo, ¿no? Pero habría que tomar en cuenta si hay rotación de personal o si también el personal que está entrenado está vinculado a determinados productos que les gusta más y no necesariamente a otros productos que pueden ser de utilidad. Ese es algo que también quizás se pueda mejorar en una próxima encuesta, ¿no? Porque el personal en los diferentes servicios puede estar cambiando y no es estático, ¿no? Y no necesariamente puede el que ha recibido el entrenamiento dar un resultado, porque ahora ese puesto es ocupado por otro, ¿no? Eso puede estar sucediendo también y habría que ver cómo medirlo. Ese es mi comentario. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Jorge. Sí, es un excelente comentario. Pasa muy seguido que entrenamos a una persona para una tarea y de repente la pasan a otro lugar y entonces la capacidad existe, pero está ubicada en otro punto. Entonces sí, es un excelente punto. Muchas gracias por hacerlo. Daniel.
Sí, simplemente quería hacer un comentario, make a comment due to the language. Perhaps for the next meeting, we can use, instead of Teams, we can use Zoom, because Zoom allows to put subtitles in different languages. Right now we have a license in WMO for Zoom, so I believe that this could be quite useful for all the people who, speak different languages in this group to follow the conversation and the presentation in their own language with subtitles. So keep us, informed when the next meeting will take place, when the next teleconference will take place, so we can offer this new tool for the teleconference.
Thanks, Daniel. Are there any other comments or questions? I think we're done then.
Okay. Before we wrap up, are there any other business requests, comments, updates, or are there any other updates that members would like to share with the group? I have one comment. As you may know, Bernie Connell is going to retire soon, right? Bernie, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Actually, maybe you can see me a little better.
Yes.
Yes, I'm formally retiring next week, September 10th. I'd just like to say thank you to the community. I've been involved in a lot of these activities for over 25 years. Maybe even closer to 30 in some places. And I've learned a lot from the communities, and I've seen the communities progress immensely. And I know that your activities will move forward and continue to grow, especially from what I heard on this session. So I may still listen in to occasional ones, and just because I love hearing the information on what's going on, and I have an interest still in the education aspect of it, because this links directly into the WMO VLab and a lot of, it links into a lot of things. So thank you for all your contributions over the years, and I wish you a lot of more fruitful endeavors in the future. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Bernie. I'd like to take this moment to recognize her incredible contributions to our work and to the international community over the years. We truly appreciate all the dedication and support Bernie has shared with the VLab community through many capacity building events, organizing regional focus group meetings, assisting during the satellite conferences, AmeriGeo Weeks, the SDR coordination group meetings, and many, many other initiatives where she always offered her support. And personally, the first time I interacted with Bernie was in December 2013 during the GeoNetcast week. And since then, we've probably spoken on a weekly basis to discuss training activities. So I've learned so much from Bernie. So let's definitively keep in touch. Okay. I will really miss you in our activities. I'm sure our international colleagues feel the same. So we wish you all the very best in your retirement.
Yeah, thank you.
There are some comments that nothing will be the same without Bernie. That's true. That's true.
That's true, but you'll have new opportunities too. So
wishing you the best, and share our press will cross. Thank you, Bernie, for all your effort. Congratulations forever. Gracias, Bernie, por todo. All the best. So, all the best. Thank you very much, Bernie.
Okay. Yes. And like I said, it's mutual, and it's been great working with the communities. So.
Gracias por todo.
Yeah. Thanks.
Gracias por todo.
Yeah.
Obrigado por tudo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you. So
Yeah,
thank you all for your participation and contributions. We really appreciate it. Muchísimas gracias. Fue un excelente número para nuestra reunión. All the presentations, the recording will be available through our webpage, and let's continue interacting and working on the proposed regional actions until our next teleconference. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias
Thanks,
a todos.
everybody.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Gracias. Buen día.
Gracias.
Estamos comunicando.